Assalamu alaikum, dear students. It's class 7th, subject general science, and our today's topic is fiber to fabric. It's your chapter number 3 and page 26. The students, as we know that there are two types of fibers. That is, the clothes we use, we wear, are made up of two types of fibers. One is of natural fiber and other is of synthetic fiber. Natural fiber is the fiber which we get from animals, from nature, and synthetic fiber is obtained artificially from mixing different things by machines. Today we are going to talk about natural fibers which we get from animals. As we know that animals provide us many things, like they provide us milk, they provide us meat, eggs, and similarly some animals provide us fibers also. We have two types of natural fibers, two kinds of rather natural fibers. First is wool and another is silk. Wool. Today let's talk about wool. How is wool obtained? From which animals we get wool? And how is this wool processed to get fibers? And from those fibers we get the fabric. Let's today talk about wool. The students, wool is obtained from sheep, goat, yak, and some other animals. These animals, that is the wool yielding animals, bear hair on their body. As we know that hair traps a lot of air and air is a poor conductor of heat. Therefore, this hair keeps these animals warm. So, the significance of this wool on the animal and on the bodies of these animals is to protect them from outside temperature, to protect them from cold, because as I told you that hair traps a lot of air and air is a poor conductor of heat. That's why these animals remain warm during winters or during harsh climate because of this hair. Wool is derived from these hairy fibers. Like us, the hairy skin of sheep has two types of fibers that forms its fleece. First type is the coarse beard hair, and the second type is the fine soft under hair close to the skin. The fine hair provides the fibers for making wool. Therefore, it is the second type of hair, that is the fine hair, which is present on near the skin of the animals, and these fine hair provides the fiber for making wool. Dear students, some breeds of sheep possess only fine under hair, so their parents are specially chosen to give birth to sheep which have soft hair. This selective process for obtaining, for rearing such type of sheep which have only fine under hair, this selection process for obtaining wool is called as selective breeding. That is, selective breeding is actually the process of selection of parents for special characters in offsprings. So here in this case, we do selective breeding for obtaining wool. Let's see how this wool is obtained from wool yielding animals. For obtaining wool, we get this wool from many animals, like as I told you earlier, that we get it from goat, we get it from sheep, we get it from camel also, and there are different types of goats from which we get this wool. So let's talk about the wool obtained from sheep. The wool obtained from sheep. For obtaining wool, sheep are reared, their hair is cut and processed into wool. So, dear students, first the sheep are reared. Rearing and breeding of sheep. Sheep are reared in many places of India in our country, like in Jammu and Kashmir, in Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Arunachal Pradesh, Punjab, Sikkim, and Haryana, Gujarat, and Assam. These are the states, these are the places where these sheep are reared for obtaining wool. Because for in these states, the temperature, the climate is favorable for rearing sheep. Once the reared sheep have developed a thick growth of hair is then shaved off for getting wool. Now let's see how this wool is processed into fibers. In processing the wool, in processing of wool to make it fibers, there are many steps are involved. So step first is the fleece, that is the under hair of sheep, along with a thin layer of skin, is removed from its body. This process is called as shearing. That is, in this processing of fibers into wool, first step is shearing. Shearing is what? Shearing is the removal of the upper layer of skin along with the fleece from the body of sheep. Now, second step is scouring. Scouring is the sheared skin along with the hair is thoroughly washed in tanks to remove grease, dust, and dirt. This is called as scouring. That's the obtained wool. The sheared wool is the shaved of wool is washed properly to remove grease, dust, and dirt. This process is called as scouring. Now, next step is after scouring, sorting is done. The hairy skin is sent to a factory where hair of different textures are separated, or so we can say sorted. Now, next step is the small fluffy fibers called as burrs are picked out from the hair. Now, another fifth step is the fibers can be dyed in various colors, as the natural fleece of sheep is or goat is black, brown, or white. But we get clothes of different colors. We get clothes of different woolen clothes. So these woolen clothes are dyed. Now, next step is the fibers are straightened, combed, and rolled into yarn. After dyeing, the fibers are straightened, combed, and rolled into yarn. Now, the large fibers are made into wool for sweaters, and the shorter fibers are spun and woven into woolen clothes. That means we get different kinds of woolen clothes. We get woolen sweaters, we get woolen clothes. So in this way, the wool is obtained, processed, and then turned into from fibers into fabric. This is all about today. Allah Hafiz.